Well, David Goodhart is the head of Demography, Immigration and Integration at the Policy Exchange. Thanks very much for coming in. What do you make of this report?
Well, I run an integration unit at think tank, so I'm always in favour of more reports on integration. It is a great national issue, and I think there's a lot of good sense in what this report is saying. It's talking about a statutory duty on local authorities to encourage mixing. It's talking about an integration policy unit in the Cabinet Office to integrate different approaches across Whitehall. It's talking about, I think it's a very sensible idea to have a loan system for learning English for people that come here, a bit like the student loan system. It's also talking, I think, it's got some imaginative ideas about how to provide a framework of welcome to people when they first come. It talks about welcome centres in big cities. It talks about language cafes, which would also be a centre for people, for mentors and people that want to help refugees or other kinds of immigrants who come here. So I think there is a lot of good sense in it, and I think it builds on the report that Louise Casey did at the end of last year. We're still awaiting a government response to that, and hopefully some of these proposals, 56 proposals in this report, will feed into that government that government response to Casey. Having said all that, I do think this report is too political. It's not cross-party enough. It's not trying to appeal to both Leavers and Remainers. It's a militant defence of large-scale immigration. And it seems...
You think it fails to address the fact that many people do feel disquiet about immigration?
No, well, it says it's trying to have it both ways. It's saying on the one hand it's genuinely concerned about the bewilderment that many people feel about the scale of demographic and ethnic change in the country, but it's then trying to sort of separate immigration from that, as if to say the scale of immigration is irrelevant to people's anxiety about social change, and obviously the two things are linked. And I would say, you know, a necessary but not sufficient condition of any successful integration policy is actually to slow the rate of arrival of people. But this report is saying almost the opposite. It's trying to say that, you know, if we get integration right, then we can continue to have these very high levels of immigration. And I think that is a utopian notion, to be frank.
So some big questions still to be addressed in your view. Just to go back on that point of a legal requirement for local authorities to have to work on this and put in place measures to encourage sort of social integration. How straightforward would that be? I mean, do you think there are very definite things that all local authorities could be doing, or does it depend very much on where you live and what's needed?
Yes, I mean, it depends on very much on where you live. And I think some of this is symbolic, but some of this could have a real effect. I mean, Newham Council, for example, in East London has had this policy for a while of not supporting any so-called single identity funding. So, you know, they will not give funding to, I don't know, a Bangladeshi mothers group unless it is also sharing its space or its resources with some other group. And that seems to be that's the kind of thing that would be easier to sort of spread throughout the country if we had this this statutory duty to push mixing where possible. Now, I mean, you know, the truth is integration in a liberal society like ours is very, very difficult. You know, and I notice the report is shying away from any kind of quotas. People have started to talk about quotas in schools, in areas of high minority populations, quotas in public housing, and so some countries do this. It rather goes against our tradition, but I think we are going to have to start thinking along these terms. You know, if we do not want to live in an increasingly divided society.
Okay, I think it's something we're going to turn to and return to many times, but for now, David Goodhart from Policy Exchange, thanks very much.